Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. Today, our guest is a master at something that I have never had the patience to do. Michael Goddart is with us today for the fourth time to talk about his recent book, The Contentment Dividend, Meditations for Realizing Your True Self. And he's going to talk with us. I think he's become our meditation guru, in fact. Michael began to meditate when he was still in his teens, and he tells us that his exceptional ability to meditate has really helped to shape his life. And he also tells us we all can do it, which I'm not sure I can do it, but he says I can. So we'll have to see if he's right. Michael Goddard is the author of several deeply spiritual books, which have won multiple awards. His books in particular include I Knew Now. This apparently is a really terrific book. It's A New Now, Your Guide to Mastering Wisdom Daily, Achieving Equilibrium and Empowering Your Nobler Self, which is the winner of 9 book awards and honors. And also, he's written In Search of Lost Lives, Desire, Sanskaras, and the Evolution of a Mind and Soul, which was a winner of the American Book Best Book Award and the Living Now Book Award, the Body, Mind, Spirit Book Award, and the National Indie Excellence Award. And of course, there's this book, as I say, that's recently out. I think it was out last year, called The Contentment Dividend, Meditations for Realizing Your True Self. By day, I'm not sure if he's retired yet, but his profession is as an international tax consultant. So as you can see, this is a really well-rounded guy. And by day, I'm a business attorney, so I'm somewhat well-rounded too. Here for the fourth time, and really someone that I think you're going to really want to spend more time thinking about and learning about is somebody pretty terrific, Michael Goddard. Michael, welcome. It's delightful to have you with us again.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Roberta. And I'm purely delighted to be back with you and more than happy to talk about meditation. I had a lovely meditation this morning, getting up around 4. But the whole point, the whole point of meditation is to find the best meditation for you. I remember in March, we began by talking about meditation, and you were sort of bemoaning the fact that you felt you were a failure at meditation and you couldn't get into it, unlike your husband. And wanted to invite you to reframe that concept, to embrace the reality that you haven't arrived yet at the reality where you love meditating. Rather than hold that you're a failure, hold that you haven't gone over the hill and reached the place where you're going to be adept at meditating, but not only that, you'll be committed to it. The main thing is really commitment. And we all have different things that come up in our lives. We're all on paths of spiritual evolution, and it's really a question of when is appropriate. But one thing I wanted to invite you, and I'm not here to advocate any particular kind of meditation, although at some point I would love to talk about meditation of the sound current, because that is the meditation in which you can realize your true self, which is soul, and transcend the mind. But for people who just can't sit, so many hosts, I've done many interviews, and I've lost track of the number of hosts who tell me, Michael, I can't sit and meditate for 2 minutes. And they feel bad about that. There's no point in feeling bad. But the thing I'd love you to be aware of is that so much of the day your mind is free, whether you're walking somewhere in the home, whether you're cooking. So your mind is free a great deal of the time, and you can take advantage of that time by repeating the name of God, whichever name best resonates with you. Now, the Supreme Being, which is a great term, is nameless. It has no name. It's the infinite, eternal ocean of love, bliss, unalloyed joy. So by repeating the name of God, you're really calling on that power to bring you closer, to bring all the best that God has to offer into your life. And you're detaching yourself from the material creation. And that's really a great way to enter the spiritual life, to practice uh, the presence of God, because God is with it. God is everything. We're just really an illusion. We're projection of that power. So we're living here in a deceptive world, taking everything way too seriously. Although, the pain and pleasure feels very real most of the time, but we can go beyond it.
I think part of my issue is that, of course, I teach spirituality. I just have gone in a different direction with my spirituality.
Mhm.
And that's probably why I haven't felt the need to meditate since I've gone to God in a different direction, in a different way. I talk to God all the time. I talk to my spirit guide all the time. He's always talking to me. And I haven't felt the need to go to God via meditation. And
Mhm.
as far as cooking is concerned, I've got a husband, he does all the cooking, so I don't have to do that.
Okay.
I don't drive except when I'm visiting clients in Massachusetts, which is, I get on a plane and I'm always doing something. So my life is so different. So it doesn't offer me those space. I think you're right. For most people, there are those spaces
Those spaces.
where I could fit meditation in, but I don't have those spaces.
Yeah, well, in the book Canoe Now, there's one of the keys to achieving equilibrium is balance, being, having, and doing. And like I invite people to do a pie chart, to draw three pieces of pie and intuit what percentage of the time you devote to each, to being, having, and doing. And I think for most people, a more accurate term would be to call ourselves human doings rather than human beings, because we spend so little time just being, which is what you do when you meditate, really. So much of it is really defining what your spiritual goals and priorities are for this lifetime. For me, it became clear from a very early age when I was 11. I mean, I began to explore the spirit world when I was 10, but right after I reached 11, I really had an awakening, and I wouldn't even call it a mystical awakening, but what I'd been working on from past lives sort of began to come to fruition. That I,
It's what started that. You were so young. What
yeah,
inspired you to want to do that? Did you have an older person who was leading you to do that?
no, I was totally independent, actually, Roberta. The catalyst really was a religious service I went to, and a formal religious service, and I felt that organized religion, although it had great merit and could be a great benefit to people, it wasn't living. I wanted to achieve an
That's right.
ongoing consciousness of pure bliss and achieve immortality. It was really quite audacious. Uh, and I
Yeah,
just
you were
felt,
pretty young to be thinking that way, though. That's quite amazing.
yeah, well, if you go through my memoir, In Search of Lost Lives, you'll see that the groundwork had been laid life after life. The life immediately preceding this, I call my English seeker life. So I was seeking, reading every metaphysical book I could lay my hands on. But the life previous to that, I was also, I call myself British because I was part of the British Raj. I was a banker, and I had two overseas assignments. One was in India, in Bombay, which I write about in lovely detail. And I was pulled to visit Agra. It was shortly after I you could do that by rail. So several years, I mean, the timing was amazing. Several years after you could go by rail, and this is all I recovered, intuitively through higher consciousness. I was able to go from Bombay to Agra. And while I was on the train, it came to me, I bet I could meet a Swami there. And it was sort of like, an oyster had been open and there was a glowing pearl and I could take it and hold it. And I was being hosted by a highly ranked member of the British expat community. And, we had tea, and shortly after we began tea, I couldn't restrain myself. It was just came from within me. And I asked, do you know of any swamis in Agra? And he looked at me kind of strangely and he said, no. And then a little bit later, a light went on. He said, wait a minute, I have one of my servants goes to somebody. And he called the servant, and the servant arranged a meeting for me. And I met this great, great, great saint. Now, so many saints throughout history haven't been able to be public because rulers felt threatened. I mean, look what happened. I mean, Jesus Christ, of course, is our prime example. So many saints, true saints and realized masters have been tortured to death because rulers felt threatened by their teachings. Those who felt uplifted by their teachings, those we remember and have, are still known, like Guru Nanak, for instance, Lao Tzu in China. So I had an audience with Swamiji, and that changed my life. So that
Wow.
planted a seed that had to bear fruit, but it was simply destiny. When you are meant to finish your sojourn in the physical, everything will line up in your life to make that happen. I I've had many interviews with on a nationally known show, and this person has interviewed really just about everybody, all kinds of amazing phenomena. And he's fascinated by the subject of past lives, and he couldn't get over the fact that I knew and I'd had so many human lives, 4,137. And he asked me, how many lives do you think I've had past lives? And I said, well, I can't know that at this level, but what do you think? And he said, well, I think maybe I've had 12 past lives. And I said, really? And I said, with your level of seeking and exposure to spirituality, I would be surprised if you've had less than 3,000. So it's just been a long,
It's
long
yes, because
path of evolution.
especially since we come into these lives with amnesia for what went before.
That's the general rule of that the administrator of the physical and mental planes has, that by and large people will not remember their past lives.
Yeah,
Otherwise, if they were aware of the suffering they had to go through, they would want to get out of here. And if you look at the paper, listen to the news, suffering, and any pleasure you have is short-lived. Like I read about that in one of the meditations in the Contentment Dividend, the chimera of arrival, of how you look forward to something so keenly, and then you experience it, and then try to re-experience it. It's like it's gone away from you. It's
yes,
drifted away.
yes,
So we live in these planes of pleasure and pain, and we're desire is sort of the juice that runs our creation. We're slaves to desire. That's why the highest desire you can entertain is to be with God.
yeah. So, okay, for people who are listening to you and are kind of fascinated, I mean, when you said 4,000 lives, I went, whoa.
And
It's
that's just, excuse me, that's just human lives. We're not talking about
yes, and
animal,
that's
bird.
not that unusual actually. For
Mhm.
it's on the unusual end, but it's not. There many people have had many lives. 1,000 is not that unusual, really,
Mhm.
and 2,000 maybe. Um, People are thinking now, okay, what if they want to learn? Because I think my situation is odd for my having such an unusual relationship with my spirit guide.
Mhm.
So, which is substituting in my case, I think, for a lot of lives that I otherwise would have needed to learn as much as I have learned in this lifetime. And so I may not need to meditate as much as many people would like to meditate. And I think I fight it. But other people don't necessarily, and they see before them someone who knows a lot about meditation. What could you teach them about meditation that I have been too stubborn and foolish not to pay attention to?
Well, it's never too late. I mean, some people begin meditating when they're 89, and it's the best
What
experience.
we
Yes.
know, here are eager people ready to listen to you.
Okay.
I probably am not. And what would you say to them? How can they learn to meditate? And they have more time than I do to devote to it. What would
Yes.
you say to them?
Well, the thing, it's very challenging for people, partly because there's so many different kinds of meditation. And I write about this.
What's a simple way for Westerners,
Yes,
and maybe people who have been Christian, maybe they are not Christian now, and they're open-minded.
right.
They're
Well,
saying,
what
Michael,
I
help me.
said,
How do I meditate? How
yeah.
can I?
Choose a time when you'll be uninterrupted. The morning ideally is the best time.
I think the mind's more open in the morning as well.
Yeah, and the hours of elixir between 3 and 6 are particularly charged with God, really.
Between 3 and 7, okay.
Well, 3 and 6
Three and
in the
six,
morning,
okay.
but you don't have to get up then. But whatever time is convenient. Some people I know meditate for bed. Of course, then you fall asleep, and
That's a negative. Yeah, right.
yeah, but better. The main thing is to meditate, and and the thing is to not fight with the body, to be comfortable, to find a position. I mean, I used to meditate cross-legged on a pillow, but as I grew older and had back problems, now I meditate in a comfortable recliner, but I don't fidget. I'm perfectly still. So you don't want the body to be an issue. You want to be perfectly still. And the thing is, the mind is going to bring up thoughts constantly. What you want to do is keep bringing it back to your center. Now, the gateway to the higher spiritual regions is your eye center, which is right here, which when you withdraw your consciousness, it's between your eyebrows, a little bit above your eyebrows. The eye center is the seat of the mind and soul.
Sort of your third eye, right about there.
Well, your third eye, secondly, I mean, the eye center is the sixth chakra of your physical body,
Right.
and the third eye is actually the third chakra of your astral body.
It's above it.
It's a little bit above it, right?
Okay.
Your third eye is a little bit above the eye center. So in many meditations, particularly those where you're connected to the word, the logos, the sound current, when you're fully concentrated, you can withdraw your mind and soul currents, withdraw through the eye center, and reach the third eye. Now that kind of meditation is only best done with a realized master who has mastered all the way the journey within. But the point is, once you begin to traverse the inner regions, I mean, this physical world looks like a dirty latrine. I mean, everything is of a higher reality. The beauty is beyond description. You begin to hear the inner sound stronger and stronger and stronger. So until you have a teacher, you can choose to repeat, as I mentioned at the beginning, a name of God that best resonates with you. And it can even be saying whatever you want to do. So, I mean, and if you're looking
It
for a
could be
teacher,
the Holy Spirit. Jesus called God the Holy Spirit. So you could be thinking about this part just between your
well, yes,
eyebrows.
you could just be calling on the Holy Spirit. You don't want to call on a particular personality who's no longer with us, because if you do get pulled within, which happens to people, any kind of entity can impersonate your family members, Jesus, you name it. And when you're initiated by a perfect master, you're given a powerful spiritually charged mantra, so you can test the reality of whatever appears within before you. So if some being appears before you and says, "I'm your beloved grandmother or grandfather," with presence of mind, you can repeat the words. And if it's not that soul, mind, and solemnity, it'll have to vanish. These are very powerful words. So, I think it's good to get clear on what you want to achieve for the rest of your life. If you want to go beyond all the suffering and the unknowns, see, for me, when you really begin to learn and accept about karma, and for anyone who thinks karma is just hogwash or dumb, that's fine. But I would love you to read the fourth meditation in the Contentment Dividend, Blinding Promises. I think that may open you more to the idea of karma. And the point I'm getting to, Roberta, is that we don't know what hurtful deeds we committed in the past. In my book, In Search of Lost Lives, I write about 17 animal lives. And there were lives when my hurtful actions outweighed my good actions. And the balance went down toward negativity. And I lost the opportunity of coming back as a human. I have some very tough animal lives, particularly I'm remembering the life when I was a skunk and, was starving half the time. Now, there were some good animal lives, a couple dog lives in particular, when, my spiritual evolution, literally, I mean, I write about this in Search of Lost Lives, anyone can read about it, but it began thousands of lives ago when I was a woman on my first planet, Jorlu, and I had 6 children, and I had a spiritual experience, and that I call the beginning of my spiritual evolution. So step by step, I began to get more and more aware. I mean, not that long ago, in kind of an earlier European life, I didn't appreciate that when you kill animals, they feel pain. That was like an awakening for me. I thought, oh, okay, I didn't know this before. So, I mean, there are so many people in the world who just, kill people. They don't think anything of it. And that's like the worst sin other than taking your own life. So we all are on our individual journey going through life after life. And the reason I recovered, one of the reasons I recovered 88 lives and wrote about them in my memoir, and I did consider putting the extraplanetary lives just on my website, Goddart.com, but I thought, no, let the book be long so people get a sense of all their comings and goings, and they would get a little weary by that idea of all their lives. So anyone can meditate. I mean, if you can just start with 2 minutes, that is fabulous. That's a great
2
accomplishment.
minutes?
2 minutes.
But
I
how do
mean,
you know that you're in that zone? What are the signs that you in fact have meditated or are meditating?
well, you feel like you're in your spiritual center. Your mind is more still. You're energized. You're calm. You feel like you're in a state of equilibrium.
And
Eh,
that's it. That's how that shows you you are then actually meditating.
Well, when you're actually meditating, you're doing like a technique, a process like the repetition. That is meditation. Listening to the sound is meditation. If you've been taught how to do that, if you've seen a perfect saint, a true master, and seen their eyes, visualizing that form is a form of meditation, bringing that form behind you. So those are like 3 elements of the meditation I do. It's repetition, contemplation, and listening to the inner sound. But if you just want
So
to,
people should go to your website and this information would be there at their,
yes, and anyone can write to me via the website, but just reading the books, you get an idea. I don't consider myself a meditation teacher. I'm somebody who's meditated daily from the age of 19, but I'm just a retired international tax consultant who loves to write and meditate and advance my spirituality any way I can and to be of service to people. I mean, that's really my goal. That's my duty.
But this information, though, would be on your website, or how to reach you and get started.
Yeah, absolutely. How to reach me, and every person's individual. They're at a different place. Uh, Something I might tell one person, I would say differently to another person. But just to entertain the idea of, I would love to meditate someday, sometime. That's worthwhile. Every step you take toward the Supreme Being, that being brings you so much closer.
Yeah,
It's
I think that I think the fact that there are so many ways to meditate is encouraging, because many people then would have the sense that one of them is going to fit me. I don't know what it would be,
right,
but
and you can try out different meditations. Now, as you said before in introductions, I had worked out that my path, part of it was being a vegetarian, and meditation was a prime element. And I was a history fellow going to England, and I wanted something to tide me over. So I took up transcendental meditation. But intuitively, I knew that it was temporary because it wasn't my ultimate path. So, but you have to be aware, there are a lot of false prophets, false gurus out there, and you don't want to be influenced by salespeople, friends, relatives. The whole key is to always tune into your intuition. And a new now comes back to that and how to develop your intuition over and over again. So actually, for somebody who wants to really pursue their spiritual path, I would recommend reading Anew Now, uh, because it shows you the 33 wisdoms, how to achieve them, and the 10 keys to achieving equilibrium. And really very much how to develop your intuition to know what next is best for you.
yeah, I read I knew now. Actually, I think probably must be, it was several years ago now. So I
Mhm.
read so many books. That's the problem, and because I interview so many people and I read their books. Um,
Right.
but I just want to help people to understand that, especially for people who are starting out trying to become more spiritual. I think kind of a, I won't, sh- I think a short, to say that this is a shorter way to get started with being spiritual is not the right answer, but it's kind of a, and it's not an easier way, but I think that it's a more effective way, perhaps that's the right word, to begin to be more spiritual, because many people think that having attended church for so much of their lives was
Mhm.
actually spiritual. And it's a shock to them to discover that most kinds of churches are not very spiritual. Really,
There may be very spiritual moments within the service.
that's right.
Absolutely.
But they don't, because they're, because especially Christian churches tend to be fear-based. If you
Yes.
don't do this, that, and
Well,
the other thing, you're going to go to hell. That's absolutely not spiritual. That's the opposite of spiritual. Spiritual is love.
spiritual,
That's what
yeah,
spiritualism
uh,
actually
uh,
is.
a word that's synonymous for spirituality is love.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
You and I
yeah.
just
I
said the
mean,
same thing. Yes.
yeah. I mean, the ultimate supreme being is all love, who sent us out on this outrageous, excellent adventure into the creation. And now it's up to us to find a way to go home, but we're gonna be led there. But being the best human being you can be, that's being spiritual. I mean, not
Yes.
backbiting, not being judgmental. Uh, yeah, that's very
Yes.
important to be a good human being, because I mean, people who are devoted on a spiritual path, they can act out and be very mean at times, and it's because their lower mind is acting out. One really, I think, helpful thing about a new now is that it distinguishes between your higher mind and your lower mind. And
Yeah.
being spiritual is really empowering your higher mind.
Yes.
But also it makes very much the strong point that we are not our minds. That's really all we are right now. But in truth, we're soul. We're a drop of that divine ocean. And to be in the physical, we need a mind and a body. When we die, we leave our bodies. Uh, so we go to a space where you don't need a physical body. Well, you can't have one. There may be a material substance, but it's of a much higher degree than in
Yes,
this
it's
heavy
pure substance.
physical.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's a higher substance. And we're there until we take a birth again. And, people know that they were born, they gestated in their mother's womb. Uh, I don't know of many test tube babies, but I think there are some. But anyway, we're born and we come into the body. So to be spiritual, I mean, it's really, how can I live the best life possible? What do I want for myself? It's wonderful to have worldly achievements, but you can't take them with you. The only thing you really can take with you is your love and devotion.
Yes, but I think that learning to meditate by a practice or a system that resonates with you and you individually, finding the right person to help you learn to meditate well, which my husband many years ago found with the Mahesh Yogi.
Mahesh Yogi, Maharishi
Yes,
Mahesh Yogi, mhm,
yes, and
who was my
he did
teacher
it
for a
for
year now.
decades. He did that. He followed that system, and it
Yes.
helped him tremendously
Oh,
uh,
yes,
to
absolutely. I,
to find that zone with that same system over and over again. He did it every day.
right.
That I think is a very, very good way to become more spiritual. To find
Yes.
the right system for you is terrific.
Yeah. Now, the last meditation in the book, The Contentment Dividend, is called The Contentment Dividend. And I write about the four beneficences. And that is really a good little course for how to become spiritual and how to approach finding the best meditation for you. And it talks about the most basic things in life. So I think that would really help orient people. But all the meditations before that help break through kind of standard worldly thinking. It's presenting spirituality in eye-opening, novel ways, so to speak, that you won't really get going to church. I mean, I write about some very fundamental things like what does it mean in the beginning was the word and the word was God, and that important line. Yes. So particularly the meditations at the beginning of within will be a real eye opener for people. And the agency of authentic articulation, which starts with the most famous line of the Bible and takes it apart and gives you actually an affirmation at the end of the meditation, which is very powerful. It could reorient your life.
Very well said. No, thank you. That's very true. And I think that you have a giveaway too for people, don't you?
Oh, yes, we have at the moment three of the books are audiobooks. And if people would like a free audiobook, there are five of each being given away. They can email me through the website, and I can give a US or UK promo code for the book's Bliss, 33 Simple Ways to Awaken Your Spiritual Self, A New Now, and the Contentment Dividend. So
Wow.
whichever book you want, you can preview the books. There's a lot of information on Goddart.com, Goddart for Tom. So very easy to find my email on that site, and be happy to have a US or UK promo code sent to you.
Wow. And this information is all going to be, you won't have to drive off the road. It's all going to be on the materials that are at the just below the when this goes live, we're just below the actual link to to both the audio and the visual um,
Interview.
presentation. I,
Yeah.
I love saying don't drive off the road. You don't have to write this down. This will be on the link, so you won't have to worry
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, and when you get the audiobooks, you can listen to it on those long drives if you're not on too busy a highway. So,
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Thank you. That's very, very generous of you.
oh, you're most welcome. Thank you. Well, any way I can empower people to further their spiritual search, I think I have this drive because so many of my lives were spent really seeking and not finding what I was looking for. When I was an architect in post-revolutionary America, I was really attached to Saint Germain. If anyone's heard of him, the Count de Saint Germain. He was said to have lived for centuries. He was quite something. And I, traveled to Philadelphia 3 times to find any pamphlet I could about him. But then we were really contemporaries in my life before when I was an actor and playwright in Denmark. And
You were an actor and playwright in Denmark?
yes, but 4 lives ago. And that's really one of my best known
We may
lives.
be related. I am, in
Oh,
this
really?
lifetime, I am of Danish descent, so
Oh, you are?
yeah.
Well,
So
maybe.
it's a
Yeah, and
small world.
and it's interesting because when I first landed in England as a history fellow, I knew the first thing I wanted to do was to go to Copenhagen. And in Search of Lost Lives, I write about 5 Danish lives I had, and it was so familiar, so familiar.
Yeah.
But the point is, I could have theoretically, I could have heard about Comte Saint Germain and even traveled to meet him, but it wasn't in my destiny. It
No.
wasn't until the subsequent life when he became better known historically that I was just totally caught up with him. But he was gone. I couldn't meet him. So
No.
yeah, you always want to meet, the highest living teacher who teaches the sound current. That's the main thing. That is the giveaway. And then you really have to use your highest intuition and sense of knowing because there are imposters, there are imposter gurus out there.
There are
So
many
this is a
imposters.
real obstacle course, this life.
Oh my goodness, you're such a delight. Oh, well, we've come to the end of our time now. I just want to, what do you want people to take away from our conversation, which is kind of flitted like a butterfly all around this huge topic?
Yeah, well, the fact that your soul is a butterfly wanting to be free and fly to God. If you can think of your soul as a helium balloon, completely tied down by attachments to the world, when those attachments are dissolved by listening to the sound current, your soul will go straight to God. But to get there, you really need a realized master. That's what I would love people to take away. And and the other thing is what I was searching for from the age of 11. You can win an existence of unalloyed bliss, love, and happiness in existing as pure spirit. You just have to get over your attachments and find the right path for you. And it's one day at a time.
Get over all those attachments. Oh, that's beautifully said.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you so
thank you,
much.
my dear.
Thank you.
And until we meet again, I'm so happy that we got to meet today and talk about
Yeah,
all of
I'm
this.
very grateful for this. Thank you.
Well, everyone, bless you, my dear. Everyone, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. As you know, you are a powerful, powerful eternal being. You never began, you never will end. And as long as you never forget that, you just don't have anything to worry about, do you? Because you know you are eternal. I don't know how I can help you to really grasp what that means. If you are alive right now, let's put it this way. If you are alive right now, it means you never have not been. You always have been, and you always, always will be. It's impossible for you ever not to be. Next week, our guest will be Brandy Gilmore, and she'll be with us for the third time. You know, hers is a story that's right up our alley at Seek Reality. When Brandy was badly injured and wheelchair bound, she immersed herself in every piece of research she could find on the mind and healing. And you'll recognize her story. This is her third time with us. It altered the course of her life, of course, to be suddenly in a wheelchair, but she was determined to change that. She healed herself in 2010 by using her mind. And she didn't just want to talk about it, she was determined to demonstrate what had happened. And in 2015, she was able to demonstrate self healing in real time under thermal medical imaging, believe it or not. Soon after that, she was invited to deliver a TEDx talk. And that was a pivotal moment for her. After that, she has continued to demonstrate amazing healing results using medical thermal imaging. Not just this is magic, but this works and this is how it works. Her book, which she then wrote, is called Master Your Mind and Energy to Heal Your Body. And she's going to come back and you're going to get amazed by this all over again. And our guest this week, of course, has been Michael Goddart. He's been with us for the fourth time. Michael is the acclaimed author, and he takes the time to submit his books and get this acclamation. And that, I think, is important. His deeply spiritual books include A New Now, Your Guide to Mastering Wisdom Daily, Achieving Equilibrium, and Empowering Your Nobler Self. It's the winner of 9 book awards and honors. His other book is In Search of Lost Lives. And again, he makes sure people know about his books so people can understand what amazing things go on for all of us. I mean, 4,000 lives is not chopped liver. Many people have many complex lives. He investigates his lives and helps people understand what really goes on for many people. His third book, I guess it's his third or fourth book.
Actually, my fifth published book is The Contentment Dividend.
Okay, well, some of them haven't had as many awards, but this book is beautiful too. The Contentment Dividend: Meditations for Realizing Your True Self. And I've read that book as well, and it's beautiful. I think I blurbed that one, right?
You wrote the most beautiful blurb, which I'm so
See,
grateful for.
I blurb almost no books, but I did have to blurb that one. But what Michael is doing in his teaching is really phenomenal, and we're going to have him back to talk about more and to teach more about what he's able to teach about how meditation really does help transform your world. And as you know, our great friend Craig Hogan is the president and guru of Seek Reality Online, which is your one-stop resource for all things afterlife. Like it or not, you are eternal. So while you're here, go to seekreality.com and start to learn for yourself that your own reality, since it's going to go on forever, is spectacular. Get a head start on what comes next. Like it or not. And some people say, I don't want another life. Well, you know what? You live forever, whether you like it or not, so you may as well learn what comes next. And of course, teachingsbyjesus.com is your best resource for all the beautiful divine truths that are brought to us in perfect love by the greatest teacher of them all, Master Jesus. Nothing, nothing about what we think of as Christianity came from Jesus. Yes, the Gospels came from Jesus, but even they are somewhat corrupted. Learn from Jesus what the truth is, because as Christianity, it was brought to you by the Roman Emperor, all the Roman emperors, but the Roman Emperor Constantine primarily. As it begins to die, we're beginning to learn from Jesus what the truth actually is. And more about that to come soon, because he asked us to wait until we could use AI to improve his website. So I'm going to start to work on that again soon, now that AI is getting improved. Also, as you know by now, I have books too: Liberating Jesus, My Thomas, The Fun of Dying, The Fun of Staying in Touch, The Fun of Growing Forever, The Fun of Living Together, and The Fun of Loving Jesus. I think this is the best one: Embracing the Christianity that Jesus taught. For young children, there's The Fun of Meeting Jesus, which is a beautiful children's book. You can order all these books through bookstores or on Amazon.com. If you want to talk about anything at all, you can always reach me through the green contact block on robertagrimes.com. And all of the more than 550 past episodes of Seek Reality are available where audiobook podcasts can be found, or the new video episodes are available each week in a lot of places. Meanwhile, this has been Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Please enjoy and make the most of this coming week in our one reality, always knowing that you, most of all, in all of reality, are a powerful, eternal being, and in this whole universe, most of all, you are perfectly, eternally